If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to Downfall Network for more cool content. What's up, everyone? Thralls Metal here once again. I'm Necrotic Nick.
Miller.
And we're bringing back a retro review. And we decided to cover something that is just kind of an interesting blip on the radar, but it's tied to a much larger blip on the radar. And a very interesting, short-lived band called Midian with their only release, Age Eternal. This came out on the 23rd of March in 2007 on Metal Blade Records.
20th.
20th? That was 23rd.
Nope.
20th?
It was because the 20th is my birthday.
Oh, shit.
It's okay. You forgot my birthday.
Oh, it's okay.
I forgive you.
You were born?
I know, right? I'm here. But yeah, 2007. So
Yep.
a while ago. So it's been a minute.
The band only existed from 2006 to 2008, and it pretty much starts with the demise of a decidedly more popular band known as Yob. I'm a huge Yob fan. I love all things stoner, doom, and just Yob related. I love all their albums. They broke up in 2006, and their main man, Mike Sheitz? I don't know how to say your name, man. I'm sorry. After Yob dissolved, pretty much wanted to keep doing music, so he formed Midian with Will Lindsay, who is of the band Indian, and has also spent time in Wolves of the Throne Room and Lord Mantis. And then picked up drummer Scott Hedrick to pretty much round out this band, and pretty much is kind of a continuation of Yob, but a little bit different. These guys pretty much took that Yob sound, that big, atmospheric, doomy, but kind of post-metal-y, kind of stoner metal. It's all things sludge and grime, but melody.
Yeah, and they drive it.
They drive
it. It's typical like doom kind of metal. They take the 3 or 4 riffs or less sometimes, and they just hammer it and keep hammering it.
Dry hump it into the ground.
Yeah.
But they add melodies on top of it. And I think with Will Lindsay's input being in, a far more noisy band with Indian, and well, I guess you could say Wolves of the Throne Room, more of the ambience and such. He kind of took a little bit of that, like there's a little bits of hardcore, I would say.
Yeah.
Like you hear
bit.
Opening track, Dreamless Eye, is just nasty. But you get like moments that are flat out doom metal, and then moments that have almost kind of like a slowed down version of Converge.
Well, I can see that. The opening song, it seemed very Mastodon-y.
Yes.
It seemed like a
early Mastodon.
Yeah. I don't know, it just seemed like a good Mastodon opening that just kept being an opening and didn't really progress as much as I wanted to, because it is some cool riffs that they open up with, and it's got a cool sound. It builds tension. It does a good job, but it kind of builds it, and it just keeps it there. It doesn't go anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, up until the end. I think the end of this song, dude, that giant, just doom-laden breakdown is massive. And that's kind of a cool thing they do on this album is they take that, 3 or 4 riffs, but they'll add a melody on top of it. They'll throw in like a dissonant accent. And
little changes.
It's
little
kind of
sprinkles.
an interesting like bounce back and forth between the styles. You get, Mike's more odd but tuneful singing, and then Will's nasty, hardcore, almost death metal barks. And you get like a really interesting sound out of this. The main bulk of this album in terms of everything I love are the next 2 tracks. The Blood of Icons and the title track, Age Eternal. If you love Sleep, if you love Neurosis, even Baroness, and of course, if you love Yob, these are the 2 songs you're absolutely going to love. Very stoner metal, like you get like some Sleep style riffs, just big and nasty, and I think this is where the production really lends itself to it.
Yeah, because I thought this one actually had dynamics, and it took you on a journey. It had like this opening and beginning. It really felt like a song, and not just one part of a song just droning on and on. With
Dreamless Eye, like, it's playing a little bit faster than the beginning, but I mean, it's such a giant muddy tone, like it kind of crackles a little bit, like,
which I like. I like that.
It actually has like a kind of a demo quality to it. Like there are parts in here you can actually hear like what sounds like maybe the needle drop on a record or something like that.
And in these videos too, I'll get a lot on the mix because that's kind of what I do. But with this, the mix, it could be better, but it fits for what it is. That older sound, a little grittier, a little raw. like it works well. Like there's nothing wrong with that in this song in particular, which it seems like they spent more time on this song and the next song than they did the other ones. Even the vocals in this one, which I have a problem with some of the vocals here, and more or less because I just want to understand what his story is or what he's doing here with some of this. But this one the vocals had dynamics and you could understand it.
I think their style lends itself better to slower music. Like the 2 songs we brought up here, Blood of Icons and Age Eternal, are notably slower. That gives these massive tones room to breathe.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's just massive sounding. Yeah, if you're not into slow music, I don't know why you would be listening to this or Yob, because they like writing slow stuff. But if you love really just layered, sludgy, doom metal, sludge metal, post metal, and it's kind of like a hybrid of all these things. Amazing songwriting. I love the melodies on here. There's even a spot on Blood of Icons where it breaks in that big final riff.
Yeah, that build up. It's a great
that little drum build up where it's just a stomp, but he's doing like an off time thing on the cymbals, and it kind of reminded me of Danny Carey from Tool.
Yeah, we had talked about that a little bit.
Granted, not as like intricate because he'd be hitting like a tabla and then like 14 other cymbals.
Yeah, like Danny Carey.
Like Danny Carey.
Just like no one is Danny Carey.
If he had like just a bass drum and a hi hat. That's Danny Carey. Nothing else.
Yeah. It's Danny Carey with one hand behind his back.
There we go. That's pretty much it. Yeah. Now he's playing it with his teeth.
Yeah. But yeah, this song had a good bookends to it.
Absolutely. It
had
that
a solid
trippy intro.
Yeah, and it worked because the outro kind of rounded itself around to that at the very end of that, and I thought that it just had good bookends.
Now, unfortunately, the longest track on here, Sink to the Center, I think kind of descends into madness over songwriting. It's more about the dissonant atmosphere. It's more about just, I don't know, layers and layers of noise. Like there's lots of squealing. There are spoken word spots over screams and howls.
Just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't really make, and it's like 15 minutes of not making sense. Like there's a couple of discernible riffs in there. I listened to it yesterday in the car with my mom, and she was like, "This is interesting." It's like, I mean, the other songs you like, though, I was like, yeah, they were really good.
Yeah.
This one just kind of felt like, I think it was less of Mike's style. Like he didn't want everything on here to sound like Yob. He kind of let the other guys, well, I think mainly Will, get on there and like do more of the noisy Indian stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of off-putting because it doesn't really gel as a song. It's like this long experimental track.
And it's like, okay, we're at 41 minutes, guys. We need something. We need like 15 minutes worth of shit. What do you want to do? Okay, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? Okay, let's do it.
Everyone shrieking this microphone.
1, 2, 3, hit record. Boom.
It's just kind of there. It's unfortunate because the Celebrant, the song before it, is really cool. Like I really like that one. In terms of their more up-tempo material, which it doesn't get that fast, but this one had that old Mastodon sound, like namely Remission.
Yeah.
Solid song, big chunky riffs. Like it had like a structure to it. The Sink to the Center just doesn't. Like I don't get that song. I've listened to it multiple times. I picked this album when it came out. Yeah, I've never been able to get into that track. It's just not a great closer.
I listened to it twice, and yeah, it's just kind of like a sour taste in your mouth. I was like, even the Celebrate, like, I started having a problem with the vocals in that one because I don't mind vocals that go back and forth, like, two vocalists or whatever, but for me, it's like seeing like a songwriter, like, okay, what's the reasoning for that? Is there like it's either like the one vocals have a statement and then the other vocals either, like refute that or retort it, or it's a statement and affirmation.
Like an accent.
Affirmation of, yes, this is what he said was correct and I'm going to build on that, or something to that effect. There's that back and forth, but you couldn't understand either one of the vocals, so you don't know in a songwriting, storytelling point what they're doing with the vocals there, and so I just don't care for the vocals because I really just can't understand what he's saying. If I understood more and they were clear, maybe I would appreciate it more. But that's when the vocals that celebrate the song before the one, the Sink of the Center, and then the song before that, Age Eternals. Well, what we were talking was another great song. But
and it seems like there's a narrative to the albums. Like, I mean, I know, like listening to Yob, like there's almost always like some sort of theme, but this one was kind of hard to pick up on. It, it was definitely two schools of thought kind of clashing there in spots, but other spots they really melded really well.
Yeah, there was a few moments where it really melded well in the album, but again, it's like I would like to understand the vocals a little more. You know, they're not so buried. I mean, even the first song, vocals are pretty buried in the mix, and I don't mind his vocal styling at all, even though the monk kind of style of singing I don't know. It takes a lot for me to like something like that. It really has to work with the song, and I think this could. I think it could, but I just want to understand more what he's doing. You know, bring the vocals out a little bit more. Don't get them so washed out in the mix.
Yeah. Overall, though, I thought this was a pretty cool release when it came out. I remember picking it up the day it came out, and I saw it was Mike. I can't say your last name. I'm not gonna screw it up, buddy. But I saw that, you know, it was that guy, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to check that out because I had no idea that Yob broke up. So overall, man, I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. It's a pretty solid offering. The songs that I like in here, I absolutely love. Like, they are really solid, well-written songs. The songs that I don't like, namely just one song, but unfortunately it is a long song. It really does take away from the album.
Yeah, but especially in the last 15 minutes.
Oh my God. But I mean, overall, it's a solid listen. If you love stoner, doom, sludge, anything like that, post metal, yeah, go for it. Check this out. It was a really cool release.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5, and yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. That last song really just drives it down, and Dreamless Eye, with I was saying, the vocals are kind of buried, and really the two songs that save this are Blood of Icons and Age Eternals.
Yeah.
And even like I said with the Celebrant, it was kind of getting to that point. But yeah, that last song really just drives it down, and just the mood and everything. And I think if they would have maybe shortened that and had some sort of, you know, kept that as like a middle ground between two songs, and really have a solid.
Segue.
They could have even took the Sync to the Center, shrunk that down to like a 3-minute fucking thing, and then put the Celebrant after that.
Yeah, actually,
you know, and that probably would have been
closer.
that probably would have made the album a little better if they would have cut 10 minutes out of that noise. But yeah, 3 out of 5, and I was kind of leaning to 2.5, but 3 out of 5 I think is a solid rating for this.
So, what happened to the band? Now, here's where it got interesting. Now, this came out in March of 2007. They did get to do some touring on it, and then they got a cease and desist notice. They got sued. There was another band out of Wisconsin, a groove metal / death metal band, that sued them for the name. Now, they only had one D in the name, and, well, this Midian had a big pair of double Ds. And it was a long, drawn-out process. They were demanding thousands of dollars for any merch sold. They wanted all, you know, the albums pulled from shelves. It was a long, horrible process, and it pretty much cost them the band. They had to change their name to Age Eternals just so they could tour. I don't think Metal Blade was going to reissue the album with a new name on it. And
too much money.
Yeah, it's just too much money, and it just became this giant hassle.
Yeah, and the thing was that other band, like, they didn't do anything. They had like that one thing.
They had one
like
album
96.
that came out in 1996, and then a demo in 2007. Or sorry, no.
It was like 2000.
It was 2000, yeah 2000.
And there was 4 other bands. So what I found, there was, you know, you found the 4 other bands.
They didn't exist anymore, so I mean, you know, or one of them actually changed the name. I don't know if they had anything to do with it, but I don't know. It seemed kind of odd. These guys only put out one album in 1996, and they're suing a band that has a same name but different. There's 2 Ds in it. The logo looks nothing like. There's really no likeness. Like there's no style difference either.
And what it was,
similarity.
What it was basically, this one guy in Wisconsin actually filed an LLC with that band name through the state, so he had a legal grounds to it. And he's probably just saw Metal Blade Records, and was like, okay, well, I have an official state recognized business with this, you know, name, and he was just cash grabbing. That's all it was, and people don't know, like, you get signed to a label, that doesn't mean anything, like, because most of the time you're going to be paying out what they give you. So when you get to an agreement with a label, most of the time, they're going to say, okay, well, we will give you an upfront $50,000 to record your album, set up basic merchandise, and kind of get a tour moving. So on that $50,000, you have to pay that back.
Yeah.
So your sales, your cut of everything has to pay that money for that forward money back before you even start making anything. And most people don't realize that, and they just see the label, and if they can get it in and try and sue, they're going to do it. And unfortunately, this guy did it, and it ruined something that could have been really cool.
Yeah,
because they had potential. This
they
album
did.
really did.
It was just like a nice starting off point. And I mean, like I said, I get that he didn't want to do something that sounded exactly like Yob, but that's definitely his wheelhouse. Mm-hmm. But in 2008, unfortunately, they broke up. I believe the drummer moved just out of state, and I don't believe he pursued anything else musically, at least as far as I could see. Yeah, and I know that Will Lindsay is, I believe he's still in Middian. That's his main project. And because of this, Mike resurrected Yob. So the reason Yob came back was pretty much through this giant, drawn-out, stupid whole lawsuit thing. Otherwise, Midian probably would have continued.
Yeah. So there is kind of like a silver
little
lining.
bit of a silver lining, because I mean, I love Yob. Yob is
I'm
love.
a fan of Yob.
Yep.
I like.
Got to see him a couple years ago. It was amazing. So yeah, it's just kind of an interesting little footnote, and I just wanted to cover because this album stood out to me as like a potential thing that could have been much bigger. Like if this actually took off, there was no lawsuit, maybe Yob stayed dead, which is a horrible thing to think of because, again, I love Yob.
But then this band could have flourished and really, became something.
Yeah.
I think they had a few more albums under their belt, and I think they would have evolved, and it could have been something really cool.
And the fun thing about doing these retro reviews, you get to go into these stories too, because, it's that little behind the music thing that's just fun. So, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we keep doing stuff like this all the time.
Hit the notifications too.
Oh yeah.
Hit those notifications.
Definitely.
We do these cool premieres. So like say, hey, this video is going to be out tomorrow at 8. He'll sit down and chat with you while the premiere is going on. We'll talk with you. It's a really cool way to interact with you guys.
Oh yeah.
So
the Black Sabbath one was a lot of fun to talk to all you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Most of the time I'm working, unfortunately, but I'll get there when I can.
You guys take it easy.